Radio Scotland is marking the Stevenson centenary with special programmes.
A lot of times I just wanted to be by myself, just in a seat crying or just thinking.
David, even though we have our fights at times, has been my rock and my reason to go on. I love him very much, and I couldn't have made the last 2 years without him. He is his father's son.
A blood test taken 2 hours after the incident and calculations back by forensic scientists show that the driver of the minibus was over the drink-drive limit at the time of the accident. He admitted causing death by reckless driving, and he pleaded guilty to having more than the legal limit of alcohol in his system. He told police he'd been out drinking the night before and had his last drink sometime between midnight and 1 a.m. But at the time of the accident, more than 9 hours later, he was still over the limit.
A lot of people don't realise that the alcohol is still in their body, still going through the system and still impairing their manner of driving. And it is imperative to remember that if you've been out for a good night out, there is no way that you should be driving a vehicle for at least 24 hours.
My plea to everybody is don't put anybody else through what my son and I have been through. Please, when you have a drink, please think before you get in that car and turn the engine on. John had a right to live. His rights were taken away from him that day.
There are helplines for those who've lost somebody they love. The Samaritans offer confidential and emotional support 24 hours a day, even over the Christmas period, and their number's in the phone book. There are other organisations too, like Cruise and the Compassionate Friends and Victim Support. There's more information, again, on CFAX, page 614.
Well, it's Christmas. I only do this once a year.
In the 12-day period over Christmas last year, nearly 4,500 people failed breath tests. Many of them said it was a one-off occasion. They were just enjoying the festivities and drank more than they'd planned. Remember, if you only drink occasionally, the effects on you could be much more dramatic. Christmas is full of temptations, and most people drink more than ever at this time of year. It's difficult to say no, but saying yes is just not worth the risk.
Look, we're not saying don't have a good time this Christmas. We're not saying don't have a drink this Christmas. The message of this programme is don't drink and drive, and don't let somebody you know drink and drive. There really are no excuses. Then we can all have a good Christmas. Good night. For your free No Excuses leaflet and bumper sticker, send a large stamped addressed envelope to No Excuses, P.O. Box 7, London W3 6XJ. And there's more information about drinking and driving on CFAX, page 614.
Now on BBC One, we go over to Peter Sissons for a news report.
Good evening. In the last few seconds, the results of the vote in the House of Commons on VAT on fuel. The government have been defeated by 8 votes on the Labour procedural motion that reopens the whole business for future debate. The figures, 319 to 311, over to our political correspondent Lance Price, who's near the chamber.
Well, there were absolutely extraordinary scenes here in the past minute or two. It looked right up until the last moment that the government had won the day. There was a long delay before the vote was actually announced, and then extraordinarily the Labour Party erupted when they discovered that they had actually won the vote. The Leader of the House of Commons is now on his feet. He's telling MPs that the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and I'm repeating to you now what he's saying as he says it, he hopes to declare what his intentions will be at the end of tonight's business. So there'll be a statement from the Chancellor of the Exchequer on what he proposes to do about this later on this evening.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Lance Price. The loss of the vote, however, doesn't mean April's increase in VAT on fuel is cancelled just yet. It opens the way for a vote in the new year to try and halt the rise from 8% to 17.5%. There'll be a full analysis of tonight's vote in Newsnight on BBC2 shortly at 10:30. But from the newsroom, good night.
You think I'm old? Yes, you do. You look at me and all you see is old. You probably think I spend all day sitting in a chair or queuing for my pension, because that's what you think old people are, remembering the good old days or the best years of our lives. Well, you know what? These are the best years of my life. I party, I laugh, I walk, I work, and I dance. In fact, I've got a great life. So, open your mind. Next Tuesday, 9:30, it's never too late.
Now on BBC1, the final and most productive years of the famous and much-travelled novelist Robert Louis Stevenson are revealed in Omnibus.
In 1890, Robert Louis Stevenson began building the house he called Vailima on the tropical island of Samoa. It was an expensive undertaking. Redwood was imported from California and the family furniture brought over from Edinburgh. But he had decided to settle here on the other side of the world from his native Scotland. To reach Samoa, he had crossed America for the second time and spent nearly 2 years sailing the Pacific Ocean.
I did not dream there were such places or such races.
Robert Louis Stevenson's trip to America in 1879 almost killed him. Had he died then, he would be remembered as a minor Victorian writer of charming essays and light travelogues. He survived, however, and returned home to Edinburgh at the age of 29, a married man, with a stepson and daughter, still dependent on his father for money. In the summer of 1881, Lewis, his parents, Fanny and young Lloyd, took a summer cottage in the Scottish Highlands,